Please be informed that if you have any questions, you can type your questions in the chat box. We will gather those questions and answer them at the end in the Q&A session. Today, the Royal Thai Embassy is very honored to have His Excellency Ambassador Songsak Saicheua, former Ambassador of Thailand to Austria, as our moderator in this session. Ambassador Songsak also currently serves as Special Advisor in Investment and International Affairs to the Eastern Economic Corridor, or the EEC. Without further delay, I would like to invite Ambassador Songsak Saicheua to the screen. Thank you and สวัสดีค่ะ
Thank you so much, Kun Valanja, Royal Thai Embassy to Denmark. Good morning, the participants, speakers, and audience in Denmark and also in Europe. And good afternoon, everyone in Thailand. This is the second day of a series of webinars co-organized by Royal Thai Embassy and also several other organizations, partly to commemorate the 400 years of very long relations between Thailand and Denmark. I would like to welcome all distinguished speakers, audience, and participants for taking part in this webinar. As I mentioned, today is a second day and very encouraging to learn that quite a lot of audience and participants capture the very strong attention at the moment. I think more than 218 audience and participants already registered for this particular session. At the outset, I would like to welcome and also express our deep appreciation and profound thanks to all the speakers. We have 3 speakers from the Thai side and also 4 speakers from the Danish side. We are very much delighted that we have a very high caliber, high profile, and very long practical experience speaker from both sides. Yesterday's session, we discussed about the policy, the concept, the approach, and the practices of BCG. So today's session is a very good follow-up from yesterday's session. We will try to explore the business and investment opportunities. So today's session title is Opportunity and Investment Support Measures for BCG Economy in Thailand, which we strongly believe that will provide substantive and necessary information for all audience and participants. We have Thai speaker, 3 Thai speaker, very high authority to give you the information, and then we will have the speaker from the Danish side to speak from their experiences and also their views on how they can continue to increase investment and business opportunity with Thailand. With that, I will suggest to start today's seminar by inviting Secretary General of the Office of Board of Investment of Thailand, Secretary General Duangjai, to both give the introductory remarks and also to give a presentation. Secretary General Duangjai started her position as Secretary General since October 2017 and started her career at BOI since 1984. So no doubt on the very, very high international caliber. So with that, I would like to invite Secretary General Duangjai to kindly deliver the introductory remarks and give a presentation on the topic BOI's investment support and measures for BCG economy in Thailand. Secretary General Duangjai, you have the floor, please.
Thank you very much, Ambassador Songsak, the former Ambassador of Thailand to Austria and Special Advisor to the EEC. Distinguished speakers, distinguished guests, and ladies and gentlemen, good morning from to participants in Denmark and Europe, and good afternoon from Bangkok. It is an honor and pleasure for me to be here with you today on behalf of the Thailand Board of Investment to deliver an introductory remarks on opportunities and investment support measures for the bio, circular and green economy webinar. Please allow me to begin by offering my sincere thanks to the Royal Thai Embassy in Denmark for organizing this event and to distinguished speakers for participating in this seminar. Undeniably, the world is in the midst of the COVID-19 pandemic, which is a once-in-a-generation crisis. Thailand is no exception, being hard hit by the pandemic. We need to ensure that we will remain competitive and can successfully mitigate the negative impacts of the pandemic while tapping into opportunities that arise. Given Thailand's strength in agriculture and bio-based activities, the BCG economy model has been identified as a key strategy to take in leading the post-pandemic recovery of the Thai economy. The BOI, as Thailand's key economic agency entrusted with investment promotion, has implemented many measures to ensure that Thailand has remained at the forefront of the investment destination for the BCG-related investments. We offer, of course, attractive tax incentives to a comprehensive range of BCG-related activities, which I will elaborate later on in my presentation. With these support measures, coupled with Thailand's other advantages as a strategic location, excellent infrastructure facilities, and extensive supply chain, Thailand can definitely offer itself as a key resilient player in the global value chain. Over many decades, Denmark has contributed to Thailand's economic development through the trust shown by many of its international companies in industries as diverse as electronic parts, agri-food, machinery, pharmaceuticals, logistics, and design and jewelry products. Given that agriculture plays a significant role in Denmark, and given that 1/5 of its exports are in agriculture, I strongly believe that there could be tremendous business opportunities for Danish companies to tap into in Thailand, particularly in areas where Danish companies have technical expertise and technologies. With no further ado, I am pleased to have an opportunity to share with you more details in my presentation and hope that you find the information useful for your further business arrangements. Thank you very much. And I'd like to share the screen. All right. I hope that everyone is seeing the screen all right. Okay. I'd like to start by briefly telling the audience about the opportunities that exist for BCG economy. I think you might have heard, for those of you who attended the webinar yesterday, you must have had some information on why we should be considering BCG in Thailand. I'd like to briefly mention about it here, just to recap. Of course, Thailand is rich in biodiversity. We rank number 15 out of almost 200 countries. Our food industry is very competitive. We are a net food exporter, and we are ranked number 13 when it comes to global food exports. And strategic location and connectivity, which is enhanced by extensive investment in infrastructure development. Over the past few years and in the next few years, the Thai government would be very, very busy investing in additional infrastructure facilities. And also the abundance of bio-based material. We are leading producer of many agricultural producers such as rice, cassava, sugarcane, and oil palm. And this could be very important feedstock for further processing, particularly for processing that uses advanced technology. And we have different types of biomass available. You may not be aware that there are 40 million tons of biomass still being unleft being left unused in Thailand. So this could present a very good opportunities for business that have the technology to make use of this biomass. And last but not least, supporting science and technology infrastructure, which I believe you would hear further details from the representative from the NSTDA. Now, I'd like to point out some interesting opportunities. First of all, in the food and agriculture, smart farming. Thailand is a major producer of many agricultural producers, but we still need to upgrade our farming sector by using higher technology. Plant factory is another one, particularly if you are interested in growing specific plants that require strict protocols. Precision agriculture, aquaculture, and so on. Healthy food and high-value bio-ingredients, which are becoming increasingly important and have very good market opportunities, such as prebiotics, probiotics, nutraceuticals, and active ingredients, because the consumers are becoming more conscious about their health. And alternative protein is one good example of opportunities that exist in Thailand, whether it be plant-based, insect-based, or cell-based. At the BOI, we have seen more and more companies, more and more investment projects in alternative protein production. Some of our companies are exporting to Europe as well, because they have obtained the standards or the certification to be able to export insect-based protein to Europe. And also we have seen some interesting projects by foreign companies or even startups. Recently, I have a chance to visit or to participate in the opening of a Japanese company. Actually, they are one of the unicorns from Japan. They make brew protein from biomass, from bagasse. From molasses. And the protein can be used in many applications and turn them into fiber that can be used in ranging from textiles to automotive industry and so on. So with the technologies, Thailand can present, we can make use of the availability of our local producers. Another interesting opportunity would be energy and materials, particularly biomass power plants. We have a lot of them. Biorefinery power plant, hydrogen power plant, eco-friendly chemicals and polymers, biodegradable bioplastics. I like to point out some examples. We have this chemical and bioplastic, some kind of roadmap or the development of this industry in Thailand. You may not be aware that actually Thailand has the largest bioplastic plant in Southeast Asia by Total Corporation, which has a very large factory in Thailand. And with the second producer of bioplastic in Thailand by Nature Work from the US, we then expect to see Thailand as a major, is becoming a much more important producer of bioplastics. So we hope that we would be able to attract more companies in the bioplastic supply chain, whether it be because we already have the upstream. We expect to get more companies in the midstream. We already have a lot of companies in the downstream. So that would complete the supply chain of biopolymer, bioplastic in Thailand. Another key sector exists in medical and wellness. Of course, Thailand has been a major hub for medical tourism for quite some times now, and we are the 5th largest medical tourist market in the world. We have seen more companies that have managed to use higher technology, advanced technology such as gene therapy. We actually have approved some projects that use gene therapy and also biopharma companies. Although currently there's still very few companies that can manufacture biologic medicine in Thailand. So we hope to see more European companies setting up in Thailand to produce biologic drugs. And clinical research, Thailand can be the hub for clinical research. And also the last pillar of the BCG economy that present good opportunities would be waste management and recycling. We have already approved 2 projects that recycle plastic waste into food grade plastic. Actually 2 or 3 projects already. So we see more and more companies are applying high technology to turn the low value waste into high value products. I already mentioned biopharmaceutical industries in Thailand. I'm very pleased to announce that, we have seen more foreign company, multinational companies that take part in the biopharma industry in Thailand. These are some examples of companies in the BCG industries. As you can see that there are both local companies and foreign companies. We have seen some famous names of multinational companies, but local companies are equally active. Some of them are looking for partners. So if anyone in the audience is interested in finding local partners, because the local partners have not only a very good local supply chain, but also they're looking for new technologies. Investment support from the BOI for the BCG. Of course, the BOI is one of the major government policy agency that provides tax and non-tax incentives to investors. Actually, our scheme is available to both local and foreign companies. So if a Thai company and a foreign company have exactly the same project, both would get exactly the same incentives from us. Our tax incentives include things like corporate income tax exemption, corporate income tax reduction, investment tax allowance, and exemption of import duties on machinery, exemption of import duties on raw materials, and so on. These are our major tax incentive tools. At the same time, we are also offering non-tax incentives to facilitate, mainly to facilitate the setting up and operations of foreign companies, such as the right to be 100% foreign owned. The BOI is authorized to grant waivers to restrictions under Foreign Business Act. And also we allow companies to own land if they are BOI promoted. And also no restriction on foreign currencies. Actually, this is becoming actually not necessary anymore, because even if you don't get BOI promotion, there are no restriction on foreign currencies. Last but not least, we facilitate the entry and sojourn of foreign personnel or expats, because we offer facilitation regarding visas and work permits. We even run our own one-stop shop for visas and work permits to make sure that we are offering very convenient and smooth services. We guarantee that companies would get the papers renewed within 3 hours after submitting the complete documentation. But currently, almost all of our services at a one-stop center are 100% online. How do we provide tax incentives? We have our tax incentives. The period of tax holidays depend very much on what you do. What are your products and what are your services? By and large, the higher technologies you apply, you tend to get longer years of tax holidays. Simply because we would like to move towards more advanced technology in the supply chain. So that's why that is a concept when we design the tax incentive scheme at the BOI. We look at the number of years of tax holidays would be based on many factors. In most cases, the level of technology and also the role of that product in the supply chain, particularly the agro-based industry or the bio-based industry would receive higher priority. So they tend to get very attractive tax incentives. And also, since we would like to see more development of technologies, particularly in the targeted core technologies such as biotechnology, digital technology, nanotechnology, and advanced material technology. Companies that are engaged in technology development projects, they can be entitled to 10 years tax holidays. And on top of that, if companies doing some other things else that we would like them to do, they can be entitled to even more tax incentives, such as to undertake R&D, because we would like to increase the percentage of R&D in our GDP. Currently, it stands for slightly over 1% of GDP. We would like to see that Thailand is increasing its expenditures on R&D. So we decide to use the BOI tax incentives as one tool to push for that. If companies undertake apprenticeship programs, we would like to see the private sector to take part in human resource development or advanced tech training, or even designs and development of local supplies. Or in some cases, you happen to be located in our targeted areas, such as the EEC, the spatial economic zones along the border, or in industrial estates, or in the disadvantaged areas. If that is, or in the science park, if that is the case, then companies can be entitled to additional tax incentives. So there are many options available that you can come up with attractive tax incentive package. I would not go into details, but just to give you sort of the snapshot of the basic or the standard tax incentive scheme that we have. And some snapshots of bio-based industries that are eligible for BOI. We cover the whole range of the supply chain, from upstream, midstream, down to downstream, when it comes to bio-based industries, such as if you're in even plant propagation, animal husbandry, or even seed improvement or animal breed improvement, and so on, biotechnology. So everything, the comprehensive range of activities can be covered by the BOI incentive scheme. And also infrastructure that would be supporting the bio-based industry are also available for tax incentives. And as I mentioned earlier, we are encouraging companies to be located in certain areas, and then if that is the case, you'll be then entitled to additional tax incentives. EEC is one of the prime areas that we would like to encourage people to go into. So that's why the BOI is offering additional tax incentives for companies that are located in the EEC. There are certain criteria in granting additional tax incentives. One is if you are involved or if you're participating in human resource development programs. The other is you're inside an industrial estate. At the moment, we're running a special short-term program to stimulate investment, as everyone is being hit by the pandemic and everyone is rushing to revive the economy. Thailand as well, and the BOI then uses our incentives as a tool to stimulate investment, which would help drive economic recovery. So for projects that are submitted to the BOI, applications that are submitted by the end of this year, and if you manage to invest at least 1 billion baht within 1 year after getting the BOI certificate, then the project would be obtaining, on top of the normal package, you would be getting 5 years of 50% of corporate income tax reduction. So quite an attractive program and we have seen a number of projects that have that would be benefiting from this program, as we still see significant growth in certain industries such as the electronics, the bio-based, the medical industry. So I hope that some of you in the audience who are contemplating an investment project in Thailand would be able to benefit from this special program. And last but not least, we're not just attracting newcomers or new investment projects. We aim to make existing ones more competitive. So we are incentivizing companies to make themselves more competitive, such as to use automation. We incentivize companies that would like to change their machinery, upgrade their machinery, and turn into automation. We incentivize companies to adopt digital technologies, whether it be to use cloud computing, to use ERP, to link their digital system to the government system. Or we incentivize companies to move towards energy conservation, to use less energy, to use renewable energy, or even to reduce impact on the environment. And this particular trend is very much in trend now because many companies are adopting ESG concepts, and Thailand as a country is adopting SDG, the Sustainability Goal Development. And also very much related to BCG, we are also incentivizing companies that obtain international sustainability standards, such as FSC for the forestry related industries, or PFC, and also food safety standards and so on. So all of these additional incentives are meant to keep companies in Thailand more competitive. So and this is applied to companies in every sector, not only BCG, but every sector, because everyone needs to remain competitive. Last but not least, I will spend the last 2 minutes of my time to talk about we're not just granting tax and non-tax incentives. We do a lot of things. We help facilitate companies, whether it be existing investors or newcomers. So we run our own one-stop shop called One Start, One Stop Investment Center, or OSOS, where we put representatives from different agencies under one roof. So if you go there, you can have a comprehensive range of services to save your time and so on. And of course, given the pandemic, all of our services, you can access us online. And we write actually location-wise, we write in the CBD. So the office is very much accessible. And the last thing that I like to mention is Smart Visa. We're running this program for 2 years now. The idea is to attract foreign talents and technologies. The privileges for Smart Visa is that the validity is longer, it's up to 4 years. Also, Smart Visa holders are not required to obtain work permits. So you can work in Thailand without having to get work permits. And fast track service at the airports and so on. So these are the services that we are offering, and we trying to step up our online services even faster than expected because of the pandemic. So all of our services, we try to put as many services as e-service as possible. So if you're interested in getting in touch with the BOI, please do not hesitate to reach us we have different channels, and whether you can contact us at the headquarters or our offices in Stockholm. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Secretary General Duangjai, for your kind introductory remarks and also very comprehensive, informative, and also crystal clear presentation specifying the priority cluster and sectors for BCG in Thailand, including what BOI can render support and offer incentives and also other facilitation. Now, I would like to turn to the second speaker. As Secretary General Duangjai also mentioned that in promoting investment in BCG, the Eastern Economic Corridor or EEC is one of the prime area or the top priority area for promoting BCG investment. I would like to invite the Deputy Secretary General of the Eastern Economic Corridor Office or the EEC Office, Dr. Asawachintachit, who had served as the Deputy Secretary General of the EEC Office since February 2018, and before that, Dr. Lakshman has a long experience of working with ADB and also the Ministry of Finance of Thailand. Dr. Lakshman will give a presentation on the Eastern Economic Corridor in the BCG opportunities in the Eastern Economic Corridor or the EEC. Dr. Lakshman, you have the floor, please.
Thank you, Ambassador Songsak, and good morning to colleagues in Denmark, and good afternoon to our colleagues in Thailand. Let me share my screen now. Right. Okay. So, Secretary General Duangjai mentioned about the EEC, and BOI is giving special incentives for investors who are going to be in the EEC. I would like to explain a little bit what EEC is to introduce EEC to you. Well, the Eastern Economic Corridor or the EEC covers 3 provinces of Thailand in the eastern part. So there is Chachoengsao, Chonburi, and Rayong, as you can see from the map here. If you look at the map, you will see that Bangkok is on the top of Chachoengsao. You can see here that in EEC, we have good connectivity, transportation facilities. So we have the Lam Chabang seaport, which is an important export seaport of Thailand. We have the Mataput seaport as well, which at the moment we are working on the phase 3 development, which is an LNG terminal. We are also developing a new international airport in the EEC area, Utapao International Airport, and we are connecting Bangkok with EEC through the high-speed rail, linking 3 international airports, 2 in Bangkok and 1 in EEC. Also, we have the double-track railway linking Bangkok with Lam Chabang and also to Utapao as well. So this serves as a very good logistic hub for industries. In the EEC, we are very fortunate because we have good connectivities. We are developing all these infrastructure projects. We are also developing the digital infrastructure in the EEC as well. To do all this, we are focusing of hosting 12 targeted industries in Thailand. These are what we call in Thailand the S-curve industries, the industries for the future of Thailand. As you can see in this slide, we have many industries related to green and circular. Last year, when the pandemic hit the world, we were asked by many of our friends whether our 12 targeted industries are still relevant, whether EEC is still relevant. And we did analysis, and we found that the 12 industries is even more relevant than before. Why? Because we can see 3 emerging trends in the world: the focus on health, the acceleration of digital adoption, and the very much focus on logistics. And our 12 targeted industries can be clustered in these 3 particular themes. On top of that, What we are doing now is that we would like to create a good foundation for our 12 targeted industries. We say circular and green economy is the foundation for our industrial development in the EEC area, together with education and human resource development. So what is our take on green and circular? As Secretary General Duangjai mentioned, Thailand, we have adopted BCG model of development. So as you can see here, B is the bioeconomy, green economy, and circular economy. When we look at the world and when we look at Thailand, well, Thailand has entered into the Paris Agreement, and we say that by 2030, we are going to reduce carbon emission by 20 to 25%. And we believe that the BCG model that the government is adopting is leading us towards this goal. And when we look at our targeted industries in the EEC area, we found a lot of synergy. As you can see here, the BCG model focus on particular 4 areas: food, agriculture, medical and wellness, energy, material and biochemical, and tourism and creative economy. When we translate this into our targeted industries, we can see that the theme of health and well-being and the theme of low carbon industries and businesses are interrelated and very much in synergy with BCG model. A lot of technologies have already been mentioned by Secretary General Duangjai. We would like to say that we welcome investment in this technology, and we are particularly interested in recycling business, carbon management. We would like to develop medical and comprehensive healthcare, food for the future, and biotechnology. In the EEC area, we aspire to become a net zero carbon emission area, in particular for industrial sector. And to achieve that, we say there are 3 things that we would like to encourage, to support. First is the improve of energy efficiency. We would like to increase the share of renewable energy in industrial sector. We are enhancing infrastructure to support distributed power generation system. We have microgrid and smart grid system. And we are increase the share of electric vehicles in public transport in EEC area. Second is the enhancement of resource and waste management. We would like our production to shift to low carbon. We would like to create a model of industrial waste management in EEC that can be adopted nationwide. And we are providing incentives, and BOI also providing incentives to reuse and recycling businesses. And the third thing that we are doing is that we are creating business ecosystem for green and circular. We are promoting industrial production under international standards, as mentioned earlier by Secretary General Duangjai. And we also work together with many partners to establish carbon trading system in the EEC, to pilot the carbon trading platform in the EEC area. When we say we want to be a net zero carbon emission area for industrial sector, we think of this equation. We say emission reduction equal baseline emission and minus all the activities, all the projects in the box. And we looked at the circular economy value chain for industrial sector, and we found that the big chunk come from production. So not only clean energy or renewable energy, we need to focus on the production line. We need to focus on waste management and resource management as well. So for EEC, we say net zero carbon. We want to work on 2 things: energy efficiency, resource and waste management. these are some of the projects that we are now working on in EEC. The first group of projects concerns waste management. We have this Rayong model, which is a total waste management project in Rayong. Basically, we convert solid waste to energy, more than 500 tons per day, and generate electricity from waste 10 megawatts per hour. And you can see here that we are working to become a zero landfill and cover 100% of waste in the Rayong area by next year. Another project is also a waste to energy plant project in Pattaya City, which is in Chonburi province. And we are planning to expand waste to energy plant in EEC areas, 6 more plants coming up. So we would also welcome technology in waste to energy, investment and partnership in this area. Another example project that we are working on in the EEC area is the Bantam Smart City Development. The Bantam Smart City Development, we are going to generate 50 megawatts of solar power for use in the area. And we are also developing EV transportation, public transportation in the area. We are also installing infrastructure for charging stations in the area. And also, we are going to work together with companies to create regulatory sandbox for EV certification, not only in Bantam, but the whole EEC area. As for the investment opportunities, we see two groups of opportunities. For existing factories, existing industries who are in the EEC, they have plenty of opportunities to become more green and more circular. They can improve their use of energy in their production. They can digitalize their system. They can automate their production line. These will achieve green and circular and net zero goal. And they can improve the resource use efficiency as well. For new investment in the EEC area, we would really welcome solution provider, technology provider, especially in circular economy, in resource management system, and in specialty materials and chemicals that will help and reduce energy usage. The BOI is giving a lot of very good tax incentive support, and the EEC is working together with many agencies to make sure that we have the ecosystem suitable for green and circular development in EEC and in Thailand in general. Very, very interesting feature of the EEC is that we can do regulatory sandbox in our area. We would like to have innovative development of green and circular economy manufacturing, and any rules and regulation that is obstacles to better waste management, we would like to work together with industries to improve those rules and regulation and pave way for green and circular investment in EEC and Thailand. I'll just stop my presentation here, and if you have further inquiries, or would you like to learn more about EEC, you can visit the website or scan the QR code. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Laxman, for very interesting and also much more detail on how the EEC position itself as the area for BCG investment. And also I see some potential collaboration between Denmark and Thailand. First, in terms of the net zero, I think yesterday the municipality of Bornholm also has presented very interesting experiences and set the target that in 2032, all waste on Bornholm is treated as resources. And the second one, I believe that a lot of Danish company can also work and also explore opportunities in terms of investing and doing business. The solution, and including the sandbox as mentioned by Dr. Laxmon. I now would like to move on to the third Thai speaker. Within the EEC area, it is a pocket of what we call the Eastern Economic Corridor of Innovation, or ECI. So I would like to invite Dr. Jenkrit Kanatharana, who is now the Executive Vice President of NASDAQ, National Science and Technology Development Office, and also he is the Executive Director of the EEC or EEC Eastern Economic Corridor of Innovation. Dr. Jenkrit will speak on the topic of Eastern Economic Corridor of Innovation, EECI, Biopolis, and also a translational research platform supporting bio-based industries in the EEC and the EECI. Dr. Jenkrit, you have the floor, please.
Well, thank you, Dr. Songsak. Let me share my videos. Okay, let me share. The PowerPoint is up already. So again, thank you, Ambassador Songsak, for the introductions. And I'd like to say good morning and good afternoon to your excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. It is my pleasure to speak to you today on the topic of EECI, a translational research platform supporting bio-based industry in the EEC and in Thailand. A special focus of my talk will be on the EECI Biopolis. Okay, so first of all, I would like to add on to what Dr. Laxmon, the speaker before me, has already described. That the eastern regions of Thailand, where the EEC and EECI are located, this region has three distinct characteristics. That is, it is the regions that are that is the industrial powerhouse of the countries based on oil and gas, petrochemicals, and automotive assemblies and auto parts. It is also one of the top tourist destinations in Southeast Asia. With millions of visitors per year before COVID-19. And it is also known as a tropical fruit and seafood paradise. And despite this region's strong personas, in my opinion, these eastern regions also face some challenges for future growth in at least three areas. That is transition from old to modern industries, workforce scarcities and aging societies, and as well as the competitions of resource between industrial, service, and agriculture sectors, as well as the development sustainabilities. EECI, as the part of the EEC, will work together with the EEC office and to address all these challenges. Okay, EECI in a nutshell, we are an ecosystem that has a mission to support the regions in tackling the challenges and bring about the economic prosperities and societal well-being to the regions, as well as the broader context of the countries. Okay. In terms of economic sectors, EECI position itself as an innovation hub connecting research and innovation and investment across Thailand. Under this positioning, on one hand, we work closely with the Board of Investment of Thailand and the EEC office to support the investment in our target industries in the bio and smart economies. And on the other hand, we link up with universities, research institutes, science parks, and technology developers across Thailand, so to connect them to the target industry investment. In addition, we provide important infrastructures as service platforms, such as pilot plants, test beds, and sandboxes to support scale-up of research output localization of technologies, and techno-economic feasibility studies. EECI located at our headquarters in Rayong province on a 5.5 square kilometer plot of land called the Wangjan Valleys. Within the Wangjan Valleys, we have education zone. We have the education zone, which house the university, research university called VISTEC, and a school of the gifted called KVIS in the areas. And we also have the innovation zone under construction to support the industrial research and innovation activities of the public and private sectors. In addition, we also developing a community zone to support the livings of the innovators and research personnel. In this community zone, it will include international schools, hotels, conference centers, as well as community malls. And currently, the constructions of the basic infrastructures expect that we can solve opening the EECI headquarters for activity sometime in the second quarters of next year. In terms of technology platform development, Biopolis is one of the 5 technology platforms at EECI. The other platform are Aripolis to support automation, robotics, and intelligent electronics industries, Food Innopolis for modern food industries, Space Innopolis for aviation and aerospace, and the Synchrotron facilities as a big science infrastructure that can support new material development, both for bio-based and non-bio applications. The 9 boxes around this slide are some of the major infrastructure within each technology platform, and I will talk about some of them today that are related to the bio industries. First, I would like to talk about the agriculture, which is one of the backbone industry of Thailand. At EECI, we support the modern agriculture movement by investing in infrastructures that will enable screenings of new candidate plant varieties and selection of elite varieties with specific traits, such as high in phytochemicals, as well as infrastructure that will allow optimization of the growing conditions with minimal use of chemicals and fertilizers, both in greenhouse and open fields conditions. Local below here are some of the partners from both academies and private sectors, domestically and internationally, that are working with us in the context of modern agricultures. Together with the innovative agricultures, EECI also support the development of biorefinery industries. Our target is at the capabilities to convert herbs and biomasses into functional ingredients, as well as biochemicals and biomaterials. The infrastructure that being developed at EECI are the multi-purpose GMP and non-GMP biorefinery pilot plant. The plants are designed to be generic and open. By generic, I mean that the plants will use generic equipment, so you will not have the unintended intellectual property issue when you are ready for production scale. And by open, I mean that the plants will be connectable to proprietary equipment of choices of the users. The plants will be operated by a Thai-European joint venture companies, and it should due to open in a few years time from now. Okay, the logo below showing the partners that were working with us both locally and internationally. Besides the bio-related industries, EECI also pay a particular interest on the cross-cutting industries. Shown in this slide is the Sustainable Manufacturing Center that is set up at EECI to support local enterprises on their journey toward Industry 4.0. The center will comprise of a demo factories, several test beds, as well as being a marketplace where those who have the requirements can meet with those who have the solution. In addition, SMC will offer consultation and human resources development services to the industries. At the core of these centers, there will be Industry 4.0 Readiness Assessment called the Thailand I4 Index, which will be a common language for all parties in the Industry 4.0 ecosystem in Thailand to increase efficiencies in terms of solutioning priorities. Now, let me talk about the other activities besides the economic sectors. EECI also put attention into working with local communities on smart farming technologies. We are setting up 3 smart farming demo sites this year with our local partners. The demo sites will have 3 functions. That is, it will be a site for open field translational research. It also will be a site will be a focal point for technology transfers, and it will support learning by sharing activity between all parties. This slide displays one of our work with local communities. We work with Mr. Somboon, his picture showing here, at his durian orchard near EECI headquarters in Rayong. The project involved synergizing smart farming technologies and his local wisdom to achieve 3 goals. First, to increase his ability to produce off-season durians, which of course can be sold at higher prices than in-season fruits. Second, the project aims to reduce water usage. And third, to reduce labor usage, including his own labors. After 3 years of working together, all goals are achieved. Water usage is now reduced by more than 90%, from roughly 1,000 liters per tree per day down to 30 liters per tree per day. So that 90% decreases. And he can also look after his own 30-acre orchards on his own with minimal use of extra labors. This is good for during the COVID situations. His entire orchard is now fully adapted to the smart farming technologies, and he is now one of our multipliers who help demonstrate and spread the use of smart farming technologies to other orchard owners. Similarly, we also apply smart farming technologies to aquaculture, particularly to shrimp cultivations. The achievement so far is the ability to reduce the daily water discharge from 10 to 30% of the volume down to almost 0. That is a lot of waters for 60 days culture cycles. Last but not the least, I would like to end here with the message on partnership opportunities with our friends in Denmark. We are particularly interested in the partnership that will lead to high-value product developments from our local bioresources and biodiversity. In addition, partnerships that will result in localization of advanced technologies that answer the needs of Thai and ASEAN industries are also of interest. Furthermore, joint research and innovations between Danish firms and universities or research institutes with the Thai counterpart is something we are looking forward to explore. And of course, share use of the translational research infrastructures between the 2 countries can be discussed along with the joint talent development. And finally, any other win-win arrangement can be brought also to the table, including innovation ecosystem collaborations. Thank you very much for your attention. สวัสดีครับ
ขอบคุณครับ Thank you, Dr. Chengkrit, for excellent presentation and also position and portrait the EEC innovation very well in terms of moving towards to be a kind of the high technology investment area, and together with the localized high technology to apply for the use of local communities, local companies, and so on and so forth. So here we see quite a number of potential collaboration in terms of joint research and also in terms of business and investment in the high technology area, and also how to apply the high tech area for the local communities, local companies, and so on and so forth. We have listened to already the three Thai speakers give us a lot of information on how Thailand, through the Board of Investment, the EEC office, and also the EECI and NSTDA, can offer to the companies, both Thai and also foreign company, and in particular Danish and European company. Now, I would like to turn to the Danish side. We will have four speakers from the Danish side to speak on the views and perspective from both the government and also the private sector, the companies of Denmark, which have experience of doing business with Thailand and in Thailand for quite a long time. May I start with the first speaker from the Danish Thai Chamber of Commerce, Mr. Michael or Michael Andersen, who now serves as the Secretary General of the Danish Thai Chamber of Commerce, and also he is the Chief Operating Officer also of a Danish company in Thailand. So Mr. Michael or Michael Andersen will give us an introduction and overview of what he sees as the business and investment opportunity in Thailand from his very long experience in Thailand, and also working to support Thai-Danish business collaboration. Mr. Michael Andersen, you have the floor, please.
Thank you very much. Can everybody hear me clearly?
Yes, please.
Thank you. I'm very delighted and to have this opportunity, and would like to thank you, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Thailand and the Royal Embassy to Thailand, to Denmark, for giving us this great opportunity to talk on a subject of which myself, as a government official of the Ministry of Environment and Energy in Denmark, for more than 14 years have been working with environment and energy. The now 30-year-old DTCC is the largest Danish chamber in the Southeast Asian region, with members around 100 to 170 corporate members, primarily SMEs, but also larger companies has placed their major production here in Thailand. They comprises big companies such as Pandora, Julie, Echo Shoes, Viking, and Linac Attenuators, who will speak in a moment. Companies like in the pumping industry, Danfoss, Grundfos, M2 Animation, who produce animators and pictures and movies for instance, Lego. Also Transformers, a very big company exporting all over the world, Transformers. Georg Jensen, purveyor to the Royal Danish Court up in Chiang Mai, Royal Copenhagen in Saraburi, Quick Furniture and other design companies, SVI Electronics. So indeed a vast number of Danish logisticals and the world's largest companies such as Maersk, Vestas, windmills, and I can go on forever. I'm a member of the chamber, and we are very proud to present also and to represent these companies. Many of these companies has placed their largest production globally here in Thailand, and that's very impressive. And that is due to Thailand attracting these big companies to produce in Thailand for various reasons. And more companies goes to the Eastern Economic Corridor in Chonburi and Rayong especially. But how comes we are the biggest Danish chamber among the neighboring countries here in the region in Southeast Asia? And why is the Danish presence so strong here? Well, nothing exists today without a very important past. The present is built on the past. That's very important to acknowledge. Every Danish person in the Danish kingdom, all the way from Greenland, Faroe Islands, and in Denmark itself, knows about Thailand and also the past history of the strong connection between the two countries. The first connection started in 1621, but actually real boom during the last 200 years. Especially the cooperation increased by the end of the 1800s after King Chulalongkorn's visit to Europe, which is, by the way, reflected in the book called Baiban, or Far From Home, which was written in 1907. I can strongly recommend this book for people who are interested in the Danish relationship with Thailand. Later in 1907, Chulalongkorn visited Denmark, and a spin-off of these royal visits together in the start of the 1900s, well, SCB was created, Siam Cement from F.L. Smith, Crown Property, Christiania Nielsen. Agricultural sectors started slowly to boom up. A lot of cooperation in natural science and forestry sector are just a small number of the many areas with Danish presence in Thailand. Simply, this alone made Thailand very interesting to Danish citizens, but also very attractive. Another important thing, and that is the last one before I will mention, before going on to Linak, to Kurt, is that in 1993, we started a cooperation on environment and energy with Thailand, a bilateral cooperation, which started in 1993, where we prospected, and together with the Thai government, we outlined a number of areas here under energy. And during this period, a large number of companies was even more attracted to Thailand. And this time with a strong focus on environment and energy. And a large number of these companies are present today in Thailand. And that you can very well see from the way they conduct their business in Thailand. So core element of their businesses were and still are environment and energy, because it's naturally incorporated in their backbone, or DNA, as you say today. There's a few within the agricultural sector. There is, of course, I need to mention Dalum milk, and also Danish Thai dairy. There's also Skov Asia, just to mention some few examples with the focus on climate in agriculture. There is another very important factor, and that's the welcoming warmth of Thailand receiving foreign companies such as Danish companies. The investment climate in Thailand welcomes countries from all over the world with constant support from the Thai government, especially the Board of Industries, BOI, which offer lucrative incentives for doing business in Thailand. BOI already mentioned visa, tax incentives, and so forth. Also the location, we shouldn't forget about that. A lot of companies has placed sort of a regional headquarter in Thailand, which also are of great importance when doing business out of Thailand, easy to get around in the region. The ease of doing business is among the best, according to the World Bank, in the top 20s among 170 countries around the world. Workforce and very high quality in manufacturing products also have made Thailand very attractive. And indeed, a very stable economy is one factor, and especially certain areas promoted under BOI, such as innovative electronics, software development, agricultural sector, and jewelry sector, as you know. And as I told before, computerized movie production even. That is also a very important factor. And last but not least important, is the EEC plan, which is going on, has actually been attracting a large number of Danish companies, including the next speaker, Kurt Lorentzen from Linak. I have said enough for this introduction. I would like to pass the word to Kurt Lorentzen from Linak, having been just placed in the Eastern Economical Corridor. Thank you very much for giving the Chamber this opportunity. Songsak.
Thank you so much for your kind word and very snapshot but very clear presentation on the ongoing Thai and Danish business collaboration, joint venture connection, and also a lot more rosy future prospect. And also you mentioned a number of sectors: environment, energy, agriculture, and dairy products, and so on. Thai-Danish milk is my daughter's favorite every day. And also you mentioned the EEC area. And then we will move on to the next speaker, Mr. Kurt Lorentzen, the Managing Director of Remark Thailand, which is located in Chonburi in the EEC area, will be a good example of how Danish company explore the opportunities in the EEC area in particular. I understand that now Remark company is under the process of completing the production and factory process. So Mr. Kurt Lorentzen will tell us a little bit about Remark and why he chose Thailand and the EEC area for setting up Remark Thailand. Mr. Kurt Lorentzen, you have the floor, please.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure having the possibility to speak here. And I will start sharing my screen. So can everybody see my screen right now? Hello? Hello?
Yes, we can see you.
You can see it. Okay.
Please go on.
Good. First, a few information on me. My name is, as said, Kurt Lorentzen. I'm in charge of building up the plant in Thailand. I've worked with Remark for 20 years now. The last 16 years having a managing role. So Remark built a new plant in Eastern Seaboard in Chonburi last year. Took over the plant in October. The size is roughly 12,000 square meters, and we have the possibility to extend it with 7,000 square meters, which I strongly believe we will have to start thinking about in 2-3 years or so. The purpose of the plant is to do production of our products, but also a logistics center for a lot of electronic components produced in the area. We will be supporting the full APAC region, except China, because there we also have a plant, and we will also be delivering to USA. I was asked to answer the two questions. Why did Remark choose Thailand as production site, and what is the experience so far? Before I do that, I would like to just give a little brief introduction to what Remark is. Remark is developing and producing what we call actuator systems, and nobody really understands what that is. An actuator system is basically a mechanical actuator with an electromotor, and when applying electronics to the power to the motor, the cylinder will become either longer or shorter. You can have several of those building into a certain application. It's controlled by a control box, and the user uses a handset to tell what would be needed, what the user wants. So in general, very, very high technical, also a little bit difficult for everybody to understand. So I just made a few pictures showing different applications where our products typically are used. And I think everybody listening here knows a modern hospital bed. You have seen it in use probably. You can push a button and you will change the mattress and the surface shape so that you get a better fit for the patient, or make a better ergonomic solution for the caretaker of the patient. Could also be lifting devices. Patients or people that cannot walk very well, they can be helped with what we call a patient lifter out of bed into the bathtub or the toilet or whatever. This is one of Linak's very, very big business segments. Another business segment which is very big at Linak is height adjustable desks. It is not very well known in Thailand, but in many, many other countries in the world, it's a must when building a new and modern office environment. People want the possibility to stand up, because everybody also knows it's not very healthy sitting down all day long. So having the possibility to get up, stand and work standing for a while and then sit down again, it's very healthy doing that. A couple of other more harsh environments where we built.
Mr. Kwat, sorry, your PowerPoint is not moving, so please.
Oh.
Your PowerPoint is not moving.
How far are we back? What can you see?
Only the first page, Linak, we improve your life.
Oh, really? That's strange. So how do we solve that? Just a second. Doesn't moving still?
Still, that doesn't move.
Oh, that was funny. It's moving here. Yeah. I can try to restart it. Just a second. Can you see anything now?
Not yet. Not yet. Is go back to the join the event.
I am sorry for interrupt. So we can share for you from
okay.
Yes, please. The secretary can have a backup for you.
Perfect. Yeah, maybe just the next one, please.
Go to the next. Okay.
Yeah, and I shortly explained that an actuator is an electrical cylinder, and you use several of them in an application, and it's controlled by electronic software and a handset for the user. Then please take the next one. Next slide, please. Yeah. And up in the left corner, you can see a hospital bed. Typically, you will have several actuators in a hospital bed, creating different movements, which makes it easier for the patient on comfort, but also looking at work environment for the staff of the hospital taking care of the patients. And then I mentioned the height adjustable desk. Yeah, we are back to the more harsh environment. Farming equipment, wastewater treatment. It could be solar trackers to get more efficiency out of the solar trackers. And the smaller segment we are working within is actually furniture in private homes. Linak is a Danish-owned company, has been in the ownership of for more than 100 years. It's located in Denmark. You can see the arrow down here, which is also where the headquarters is. We have a little bit more than 2,500 employees worldwide. Half of them are located in Denmark. And if you look at all the green dots, this is where we have all the subsidiaries of Linak. So you can see we are well represented more or less all around the world. Today we have 5 factories, Yeah, we have 5 factories in US, in Denmark, of course, in Slovakia, in China, and now also in Thailand. So why did Linak actually choose Thailand as a production site? Well, first of all, the board of Linak decided they needed to have more capacity in the APEC region. So one possibility was, of course, to extend the plant in China, but the management said we would also like to be outside China. China is very big. We will keep the plant in China, and they will work on the market inside China. The new plant should support the other full area of APEC, including also USA. One back, please. One, could you step back one? No, the other way. Yeah, too far. Yes, one step ahead. Exactly here, yeah. So the owners were asked, well, so if we have to build a new plant, what would be very important for you? What kind of wishes do we have for the perfect country to build the plant in? And they actually had 3 bullet points, which was very important for them. First of all, the country needed to have good relation to the Western world, but also to China. It should be politically stable, and it should be easy to do business. We already heard a couple of talks about that earlier. So these were the 3 main bullet points. And then please take the next one. Then Linak got in contact with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the business service, and asked for advice. Can you please help us filtering out what kind of countries would fit with Linak's wishes? And it turned out we had 3 countries at the end. It was South Korea, Thailand, and Vietnam. And of course, every one of them were put on a weight scale and evaluated. And the winner became Thailand. Basically because for many reasons, you know, there are many hundreds of parameters to look at when you look at a decision like that. But main thing was the very good infrastructure in Thailand. As we heard before also, the eastern seaboard where we build our plant is pretty close to the big Lam Chabang seaport, but also close to the international airport in Bangkok. The industry in the area in eastern seaboard is very much alike what Linak is doing, mechanical, electrical solutions, which also means that it will be easier to find qualified workforce out here. Price level was reasonable. It was not the cheapest, which was Vietnam. South Korea was a bit more expensive, and Thailand was in the middle. But even though it was still very attractive to go for Thailand. Of course, at BOI, the privileges we can get under that, it's also a very big benefit when starting up a new company. Everybody knows it will take some years before you go into zero and then start earning money. And I would also say I was not personally involved at that time, but I heard from the people involved that the embassy did a very good job presenting the possibilities in the region. So based on that, our owners felt very safe choosing Thailand. Very low practical, but that's actually the way it is. And please, next slide. So the experience so far, I can only say I have been very satisfied with the help we have got from the embassy and the Danish Thai Chamber of Commerce. They have seemed very professional working together with them. They have been fast, responsive, and very reliable whenever there was something we needed help with. They were there for us. I had a personal feeling that they were there for me, which I think is also very good to keep in mind whenever doing business. Working together with the BOI and other authorities has been very easygoing as well. Of course, coming from the outside as a foreigner, don't know too much about all the processes and how to do. So we got help also a lot from the embassy, but also finding the right employees who knows what to do and how to do. We have had no issues at all whenever you come with the right papers, the right structure, it'll go straight through. So very easy. Then starting up in Thailand, has it been easy? Has it been going as planned? I would say yes, more or less. We have a few months delays on production upstarts, but it has been due to, everybody knows in the world right now we have shortage of raw material and longer lead times when shipping in and out of with components coming from all over the world. This has meant a few months of delays, but we have no problems on import or export or anything. So on that side, no problem at all. We have also had a relatively easy finding good people. I think maybe have, based on COVID-19, everybody knows it's been a bit hard for some companies, and they have scaled down, and there have been some uncertainty for people working in the companies. So they have been looking for new opportunities, and this is where Lina came with lots of potential. So we have got some really, really high qualified and motivated people. So no problem finding good people either. And personally, I would say very, very happy to be in Thailand. Helpful, smiling people. I could not have imagined any other place to go. Now I've signed up for at least 4 years here now. Might even stay longer. Really enjoying being here. So that's my experience so far. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kut, for sharing your experiences, your view and your thought with us. Lina, once again, is another good example of Thai-Danish investment opportunity, besides already a lot of good examples. So anything that Thailand, through the Board of Investment Office and through the EEC Office, can do further to support your business, your setting up of production facilities in Thailand, please don't hesitate to kindly let us know.
Thank you very
Now,
much.
we already heard from our two Danish gentlemen who based in Thailand. I would like to turn to the next Danish speaker who now based in Copenhagen in Denmark, Mr. Jan Lausen, who's now served as the Director for Trade and Market Relations of the Danish Agriculture and Food Council in Copenhagen, will be sharing with us on the views and also perspective and how he see the business and investment opportunity further and more between Denmark and Thailand. Mr. Jan Lausen, please kindly take the floor, please.
Thank you very much, sir. And Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon to you participating from Thailand, and good morning to those participating from Denmark or in Europe. It's a real pleasure being here at this webinar. I had the pleasure also to join it yesterday, so I'll perhaps elaborate a little bit more on the business opportunities today, as I was doing the presentation more generally yesterday. And let me also say it's been a pleasure working with the Thai embassy in Copenhagen. They've been very professional in setting up this event. I'm representing the organization. It's a business organization called Danish Agriculture and Food Council. And our main members and our main purpose is to, of course, assist and support our members to facilitate their businesses, their activities, and most likely also to facilitate the possible trade and investment anywhere in the world. As our members, we do have the farmers and even the fish farmers, which might be an interesting area also in our future cooperation. We also do have the farmer-owned cooperatives, which are among the biggest companies in Denmark in general, in farm supply, but also food processing. And we do also have limited companies in the food processing. Another issue we have is a membership of the agro-industrial sector, including genetics, know-how, machinery, equipment for farming and for the processing of food and feed. Finally, an issue is our membership of companies within the food tech sector, including bioenergy, ingredients, additives, and other sophisticated uses of agricultural products. And I do think that there might be opportunities in each and every of these elements for our future business cooperation between Thailand and Denmark. And since we're just this year celebrating the 400 years of friendship and relations between Thailand and Denmark, I think we have a very strong platform to build on for our future cooperation and also business-wise. We do know Thailand as a very, very strong country within agriculture and food production. You're among the top level internationally. And we do know your very high quality products, which we also see in Denmark. So what we actually are looking for, I guess, is some kind of partnerships. It could be also corporations or even opportunities to complement your production. So it's like adding some extras to an already well-functioning kind of business in Thailand. But let me just mention a few areas that could be of mutual interest. First, the agro-industrial complex. Since you're very strong in that area already, you have this opportunity to perhaps optimize at certain elements in your production chain. And we have a number of world-class performing companies at that level. It could be at farm level, in the fields or in the stables, but most likely it would be within the animal production area, like in the poultry production, where you already are very, very strong in Thailand. And maybe there could be elements in a better production control regarding feed intake, use of energy, temperature control, and optimizing the production climate. And my friend from the Danish Chamber of Commerce also mentioned already that a company like Skov is already situated in Thailand. Another area could be the production data and the quality controls. Data is extremely important, and the digitalization of activities. So that could be a better opportunity to measure or introducing more precise equipment in order to reduce waste or control the final product. There might be opportunities in working closer together on that issue. I mentioned aquaculture. Fish farming is very big and a very important sector in Thailand. We know that. There might be opportunities to focus on some equipment, knowledge, or management that could increase the circularity within the aquaculture also as an opportunity. Thirdly, I would mention ingredients. It was mentioned earlier by one of the previous speakers about probiotics and all the more biologically based ingredients and products. And we have, in general, a leading position in Denmark within ingredients and additives. So there might be opportunities to use the right ingredients to improve production results, reduce the use of resources, increase and better the quality of and product performance. So that would be an area I would be focusing on also. Fourthly, breeding and breeding materials and genetics. There might be opportunities there for closer cooperation, and especially within pigs and cattle. That's areas where we have quite a good position in Denmark, and that could be ensuring also higher performance and production results and using less inputs and gain more product and production from there. And then finally, I would mention the side streams. And in many cases, you would have, of course, a main production within the agriculture and food sector, and then you would have like a side stream or a byproduct that could be used, or finding alternative uses for those, and also using the kind of technologies that could improve a new business adventure by actually focusing on the side streams. And of course, you would need to have a more thorough investigation in how the markets, the logistics, the costs of infrastructure. So let me just conclude by mentioning the importance of the business climate, and therefore I'm extremely happy to see the presentations earlier in this webinar that the Board of Investments, the Eastern Economic Corridor, and Biopolis. It's so important that you focus on that, And the right mix of these incentives, the financial opportunities and government regulation can definitely develop fantastic new business opportunities. And this kind of webinar actually puts even more positive attention to the opportunities for cooperation. And I'm quite sure it will lead to more businesses emerging. And I can only just support the comments from the Danish Chamber of Commerce and the Danish company Remark that there are definitely opportunities there. And also I see the common focus on circular bioeconomy is quite important for our future cooperation. That would be my presentation. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much. Very interesting for outlining a number of sectors and areas for potential collaboration, which I believe that will be of interest of both sides, Denmark and Thailand. Very, very clear and also proactive, I would say, presentation. Now we move on to the last speaker for today from the Danish side, also Mr. Neil Copenhagen, who now is the commercial counselor and also head of trade department at the Royal Danish Embassy here in Bangkok, which he started August last year in Thailand. And before coming here, he also worked at the senior advisor and team leader in Denmark for the Innovation Center Denmark. So we would like to hear also your views also on what would be the potential, the opportunities between Thailand and Denmark. Mr. Neil Copenhagen, you have the floor, please.
Thank you for the introduction, Kun Songsak. Thank you very much. As you mentioned, I am the head of trade here at the Danish Embassy in Thailand, and one of our key responsibilities is to assist Danish companies with trade-related services when they do business here in Thailand. And I'm happy to say that we have seen this very strong focus from the Danish companies on the sustainability in their products and solutions and their whole green economy idea. And as you now heard from representatives from BOI and EEC and the EECI, biocircular green economy is very much in focus in Thailand, and both public and private sector in Thailand are working more and more with this very important agenda. Thai government includes biocircular green economy in the national agenda and implements these mega projects in the areas of food and agriculture, healthcare, energy, environment and water, as well as tourism and creative industries. You heard about some of these opportunities today from both BOI and the EEC and the EECI. And these sectors are all sectors where Denmark has strongholds and can contribute with knowledge transfer, technology and proven solutions within the field of biocircular green economy. So here is some very good opportunities for Danish companies to work with Thai companies and other stakeholders on specifically these mega projects. And for the private sector here in Thailand, the big corporations have their own plan and resources allocated for biocircular green economy. And I'm pleased to say that we at the Trade Council in Bangkok has a very good network and an ongoing dialogue with most of these local large-scale companies that embrace biocircular green economy into their business models. These are companies like the PTT Group, Siam Cement Group, and the CP Group, just to name a few of them. The Siam Cement Group has 180 international and local partners that work in waste to energy, emission reduction, green packaging, green chemical, bioplastic, cement, and green building materials. And these are all potential business areas for Danish technology providers. The PTT Group has many potential business opportunities within the renewable energy space and the petrochemical industry as well. And the CB Group has potential business opportunities in the food packaging, in renewable energy and waste reduction, in food processing, farms and logistics, and many, many other areas as well. But apart from the mentioned large-scale companies, other stakeholders include the industrial estate authorities of Thailand. We also work closely with them, as well as other private industrial estates such as Amata, which is Thailand's largest industrial park development company. Most of the Danish production facilities are today actually located in the industrial estate area in the EEC corridor. You just heard from Remark, which is one of these companies located in an industrial estate, and there are many, many more as well. The Eastern Economic Corridor supports industries that correspond with the biocircular green economy, such as food for the future, medicine and agriculture and biotechnology. And biocircular green investments in the Eastern Economic Corridor will enjoy revised regulations to their favor. We heard this today from the EEC. An example could be in regards to the circular economy, that regulations has been revised so that industrial waste can actually be transported directly to processing plants across several provinces, thereby minimizing the environmental risk on the localities. To do business in Thailand, either with the public sector or the private sector, we at the Danish Embassy recommend Danish companies to be physically present in Thailand. In doing so, you will have a much better understanding of the market and you'll be closer to your potential clients. And the Trade Council here at the Royal Danish Embassy offers active support to Danish companies, just like in the case of Remark. And we work especially with the companies that are present here, but we also assist the companies that operate from Denmark and have their focus set on Thailand as a new market. Our main services include market entry assistance, partner search, assistance with setting up the company in Thailand and providing information on sectors and rules and regulations, and organizing meetings with relevant authorities at local and central level. In summary, biocircular green economy is one of the concepts which is attracting great attention and resources from the Thai government and Thai companies, and together with the changing consumer behavior and the introduction of green consumption, the market for eco-friendly products and solutions is growing rapidly here in Thailand. So to the Danish companies, if you're planning to start your business in Thailand or you're planning to export to Thailand, you should orient your offerings towards the biocircular green economy model to attain much greater advantages. And we here at the Trade Council will be more than happy to assist you in your journey to Thailand. That concludes my presentation. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you so much, Neil, Mr. Neil, for sharing also the information on the potential and ongoing business collaboration, both with the big companies, the big conglomerate, including industrial estates in Thailand, and also the opportunity for SME. That, I think, our seventh speaker give a very insight and informative, comprehensive picture of how Thailand and Denmark, Thai and Danish company can work together to increase more investment and also business opportunity between the two sides. I will now move on to the Q&A session. We going to have a lot of questions from the chat room. The secretary, if you could kindly put the yes. The first question, I think, asking about the asking that as agriculture is the backbone of Thailand, And can the Thai panelists from the EC and ECI give us some tangible examples of how Thailand's government can support or expand smart farming in Thailand? Is there any particular technology that Thailand is looking to promote partnership with Denmark in this particular area? If I could ask Dr. Jen Gret from EECI to respond to this question, please. Dr. Jen Gret.
So I'll take the question. Thank you for Ambassador for passing on the questions. Let me start by saying that at the macro level, the EEC have the umbrellas modern agriculture plan. The plans look at 5 focus areas, which are first is fruits with special focus on durians. Second is on aquaculture with the focus on the shrimp and Asian sea bass. And the third is energy plants. Fourth is on herbs. And the fifth one is on laying hen farming. EEC, especially the Chachoengsao province, is one of the biggest laying hens eggs productions in the countries. And in terms of technologies, let me share this slide that I presented earlier. How do I share it? One moment. It's not coming up anyhow. Let me just saying that there can be technologies ranging from very advanced technologies such as phenomic greenhouse, phenomic technologies, to industrial scale precision farming technologies. It's also possible to look into the appropriate technologies like the smart farming technologies that are using in orchard and typical ponds for aquaculture systems. Also, it can also expand down the road to biorefinery related technologies, both in the GMP and non-GMP areas. And as for the tangible examples, early on in my presentations, I did show some of the activities that we already implement in the EEC areas. For example, these smart farming technologies that we work with the local durian orchard owners in reducing the water usage and also labor usage. And that is an example and expanding to neighboring orchard owners. Thank you very much, and I hope that answered the questions.
Thank you so much, Dr. Jen Gret. The second question from the chat room for the Danish speaker, for the Danish panelists. As the Danish Thai Chamber of Commerce representative mentioned that there is already a strong presence of Danish business in Thailand. However, there seems to be more traditional production-based business. How do we see more high-tech companies, especially in bioscience, biotechnology from Denmark, will increase their activities in Thailand, given the government's emphasis on BCG model? So how we can promote more high-tech, more new technology investment to Thailand? Maybe I would like to kindly to ask Mr. Michael Anderson to kindly respond first to this question, please. Mr. Michael, have you heard? Please, I think you turn on the microphone and then.
Yes, sorry, I just was on another phone.
The second question, I think, in particular for your Chamber of Commerce, asking that at the moment it seems that the investment between Denmark and Thailand are focusing more on the so-called traditional production-based business. So how do we see more high-tech companies, especially in bioscience, biotechnology, from Denmark to Thailand?
It is for certain. It is a very important market and a very expanding market. I myself being a biologist by birth, so there's room. Actually, Novo Nordisk are present here. You know, this is the high-profile company back in Denmark, but it's only a sales representative office here in Bangkok for the Asian region. But how to attract more? I think we have to address this through the embassy, and the chamber will also in the future do more to be visible in Denmark for Thailand. And maybe within this area, bioscience and biotechnology, Thailand is still not obvious for them, not because it's not attractive, but they are not aware of the possibilities. So there I see the Thai embassy playing a very important role there. And maybe to set up meetings with some of the many, like Biocon up in the North Zealand, north of Copenhagen. There's a lot of companies who might be interested to have production in Thailand.
Thank you. Any other Danish speaker or friends would like to add on to respond to this question?
This is Niels from the Danish Embassy. Maybe I can add to that a lot of the knowledge-based companies in Denmark are members of thematic clusters, and so a lot of the very innovative and knowledge-based companies, they are organized in clusters. And one of the things that we do at the Danish Embassy is, of course, market the Thai market towards these strongholds in Denmark. So an obvious way of promoting Thailand within this field would be to maybe do some cluster cooperation, so we can get some Danish companies with new technology and that are looking for partners in Thailand, get them to actually talk, to meet, and maybe find out through this dialogue that there is a potential for cooperation. So that could be done either through some export promotions with companies coming down or companies coming to Denmark from Thailand. There's many ways to do that. Of course, with the pandemic, everything is online right now, but hopefully soon we can travel again, and that could be one of the ways to do that, to actually bring down a cluster down here to meet with some of the Thai organizations where the Thai companies are members.
Thank you so much. Any more response from the Danish side? Would like to respond to this question? If not, thank you. And I move on to the other question for Secretary General Duangjai from the BOI office. Is there any highly prioritized industries or technology within the BCG models that BOI will consider giving fast-track investment support? Secretary General Duangjai, please.
As regards this question, I would say that in fact, under the BCG model, there are a lot of activities that use advanced technology and are our priorities. I give you some examples. Active ingredients. The manufacture of active ingredients has always been on the priority list of the BOI for a long time, particularly active pharmaceutical ingredients. As you know that only 2 countries in the world, China and India, are major producers of active pharmaceutical ingredients. We would like, particularly with the pandemic, it is very important to have local production of API as well. When talking about the medical sector, I think the priority areas would be active ingredients, biologic pharmaceuticals, and also including vaccines and clinical research. It was mentioned earlier that Novo Nordisk is already in Thailand. I think because they have been conducting a lot of clinical research. I think they must have done something in Thailand as well. So since the BOI has just announced the promotion of clinical research earlier this year, so this will be one of the targeted sectors that we need to talk to famous Danish companies in the area. And I would like also to touch upon the previous question on smart farming. What kind of support the Thai government is providing to smart farming in case Danish companies are interested. The BOI has already included smart farming service and plant factories as items that receive support from the BOI. Companies would be receiving 5 years tax holidays if they invest in Thailand, and this is the area where there are a lot of opportunities. The projects that we have already approved, there are both local and foreign companies, and they focus on all types of technologies, whether satellite drones or digital technology. So this could be another area of potential investment for Danish companies, since I was just reading out an article about the farming sector in Denmark. You have the very high ratio of farmers using satellite and drones. So that could be applied in Thailand as well. And another area that would be our priorities would be waste management, particularly waste symbiosis. I think what we are still lacking is the information on what kind of waste exists in different sectors, different locations. We need to have some kind of system to make sure that we can have the comprehensive information so that we can find a way to effectively manage the waste and turn the waste into valuable products. If I may, Ambassador, I also would like to touch upon the previous question that was posed to the Danish panelists. I think although it is true that most Danish companies that are in Thailand are not in the BCG, although there are great potentials, still some of the many of the companies that are Danish companies that are here, they're not in low tech. Even in the say light industry such as jewelry and so on, the operations in Thailand are very high tech, very high precision. So I think I like to stress that. But when it comes to BCG, perhaps I don't know whether there is any research cooperation between the two countries. Maybe that could be a starting point from our experience dealing with companies. In some cases, we've got referrals from research institutions, because after research has produced some results, there could be some commercialization. So thank you.
Thank you so much for elaborating and also your clarification for many questions. Can I now move on to the question? There are actually 2 questions for Dr. Laksamon, Deputy Secretary General of EEC, but I will go one by one. The first one for Dr. Laksamon would be, any plan to attract investment from ADB private sector operations under PPP invest to energy project? Dr. Laksamon, please.
Thank you, Ka, and thank you for the question. I put on my previous ADB hat to answer this question first, perhaps. Well, yeah, the ADB private sector operation in Thailand focus very much on renewable energy sector. So of course, there is a great opportunities, and ADB also encourage PPP operation. So I have been talking with my ex-colleagues from ADB, and they are looking for opportunities to fund renewable energy projects in Thailand, including waste to energy project.
The second question for Dr. Laksamon. Dr. Laksamon mentioned in her presentation of aiming for net zero carbon emissions in the EEC. But is there a timeline date as to when this is expected to be achieved? And what prerequisite requirements need to be in place to ensure such achievement? Dr. Laksamon, please.
Thank you. The net zero carbon emission goal is a long-term goal, I must say. It set the framework for whatever we are doing in the EEC, that we have to bear in mind that eventually we want to reach that goal of net zero carbon. For the shorter term goal, we aim that within these 3 years, we will reduce carbon emission in the industrial sector in the EEC by 10%. And how do we achieve that? We know that we need to bring in more renewable energy into the industrial sector. So we have the first phase of our plan is the 500 solar power, 500 megawatt solar power project that is ongoing at the moment. And also we are aiming that within the next 5 to 8 years, at least 30% of energy supply to the industrial sector in EEC will be from renewable energy sector. So that is one way that we are doing. Another thing is that we believe that we need to upgrade the existing productions in the EEC, existing companies, factories in the EEC through automation, through using digital technology to help with the production, and to make sure that waste management of the industrial sector in EEC is more effective. So this is the short-term measures that we are planning for. We will come up with the next 3 rolling aims and measures later. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We already spent 2 hours and maybe 2 minutes already. So I would like to conclude our session today, which is very, very productive, very informative, very insightful one, by summarizing 3 main points. The first one, I think many speakers already identify a lot of potential areas, sector, also thematic collaboration, which we will continue to work together. And second one, not only in terms of business, but in terms of collaboration, as I mentioned, that Dr. Laksamon raised the zero carbon emission, which is the area where I think Denmark, the local government, local communities, and other agencies working very well, but that we can share experiences and working together. And the third one, we will follow up by have a meeting among the co-organizers to follow up those on how we can follow up and also promote, stimulate more investment between Thailand and Denmark. Before I conclude the session, just to remind all the audience that we still have one session tomorrow, also very interesting on the BCG solution, new business partnership. So please also follow up that we can see more business opportunity in the session coming tomorrow. So in concluding the session today, I would like also once again to express my deep gratitude and also profound thanks, profound appreciation to all distinguished speakers, which share very much interesting insight, information, and also shed the light, enlighten us for more and more future business and investment collaboration between the two sides. I would like also to thank you all the audience participants for listening and following and also asking very, very interesting questions. More than I think 150 or 170 audience following us today. So thank you once again, and may I conclude the session. But for all the speakers, please stay 5 seconds more. Please turn on your camera. We will take a picture cap a picture of all speakers. So please kindly turn on your camera, and then I will count 1, 2, 3. So Michael, still not yet turn on the camera. Are you still there? Michael.
Yes, I'm on now. Thank you.
Please turn on. Okay.
I'm turned on now, both things.
Okay, thank you. So I believe that all the speakers are on the camera now. So I count 1, 2, 3. The secretary, please capture the picture. 1, 2, 3. Thank you so much. Thank you so much again. Thank you. So may I end the session today. Thank you.
Thank you ครับ Ambassador
ครับ
ขอบคุณครับ ขอบคุณท่านเลขาครับ ท่านรองลักษมน
ขอบคุณครับ
เจนขอบคุณทุกท่าน Thank you everyone. Okay.
Thank you. Bye.
See you soon.